Chapter 11. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Snowflakes swirled through the hall. In just 10 seconds, the heavy snowfall had already piled above everyone's knees, the biting cold seeped deep into their bones, turning faces pale. They gazed up at the almost miraculous scene, frost forming on their eyelashes, the frigid air stung their throats. Is this magic? Is this a gift from God? Beauty and cold combined, right here in the library. Mom, I'm freezing, but it's so gorgeous. If I tell my friends about this, they'll be green with envy, that even though the cold made them shiver, the tourists stayed put, mesmerized. This was a scene no one would ever forget. Suddenly, a camera flash popped, the bright light snapped everyone back to reality. They fumbled for their phones and cameras. With trembling hands, they began snapping pictures. Hey! Look over here. A deep, resonant voice drew everyone's attention. The cloak of levitation lifted Stephen into the air. He snapped his fingers. A burst of white light erupted from his fingertips, illuminating the library. The tourists shielded their eyes and collapsed into the snow. Only Wong and the temple staff remained standing. What are you doing? Trying to knock them out to keep them quiet. Hood, admiring his handiwork, saw the tourists on the ground and turned to Stephen floating in the air. Relax, just a little sleep spell. Stephen looked down at Hood, who was standing in the middle of the library. Let them sleep it off. Consider it a dream. I thought you were jealous of my talent and wanted to eliminate the competition. Hood teased calmly. He knew Stephen's character and wasn't intimidated. Jealous of you? Stephen's face darkened, and he gritted his teeth. This is all leftover knowledge. You've got a long way to go, kid. All right, Stephen, enough posing. Wong interrupted impatiently, eyeing Hood warily. Who are you? Despite the young man's talent, Wong wouldn't underestimate him. Me? Hood turned his back to them, casually placing the magic book back on the shelf. He said calmly, just Hood, an ordinary guy. Ding. You have learned the first magic in your life. Reward, Scroll of Sithorn, Fragment. Scroll of Sithorn. Isn't that the precursor to the Darkhold? Hood hadn't expected this reward. An ordinary guy. Wong scoffed. A wealthy businessman. An entrepreneur. A mountaineer. Or a shooting champion. As expected of a great wizard, you figured me out so fast. Hood turned to face Wong, but when he saw Wong, he stopped short. Wong was holding a touchscreen phone, scrolling through a web page. Seriously? A mage using a plain old phone? Wong looked up, saw Hood's surprise, and smiled. I think I saw you in the news before. Yeah, that's right. Hood watched Wong put his phone away, composed himself, and nodded slowly. Since getting the system, he'd been trying to rack up more surprise rewards. He tried a lot of exciting stuff, and he was already bored with wingsuit flying. Stephen, listening to their conversation, twitched. The sheer number of titles was intimidating. If he couldn't win on talent, then his life experience was no match either. Ahem. Stephen cleared his throat, then lowered his hand. You're good, but magic isn't as easy as you think. Wong saw that Stephen was about to show off again, so he simply stepped aside. Is it difficult? Hood looked at Stephen with a sly grin, ignoring Hood's sarcasm. Stephen stood tall, hands behind his back. To become an exceptional wizard, you need an exceptional guide. With a casual wave of his right hand, a light breeze stirred, lifting the snow in the library. It looked like a shimmering silver curtain swirling through the air. As the snow rose, it dissolved into the breeze. In an instant, the snow that had blanketed the library was gone. Stephen struck his pose again, even lifting his chin slightly. Impressive, to say the least. But Hood just nodded slowly and said, okay. Stephen, the successor to the Sorcerer Supreme, definitely had skills. You want me to be your guide? Stephen almost lost it at the dismissive reply. Seriously? He'd just put on an amazing display, and all he got was one word. Nah, I gotta go. Hood shook his head. He just got the Scroll of Sithorn. He needed to study it. That thing was in the same league as the Book of Vishanti. Huh? Stephen was completely thrown off. this wasn't how it was supposed to go. Shouldn't he be begging for guidance? Hood turned and headed for the door. Wait, Stephen said hurriedly, you don't want to become my apprentice? A wizard, this was a rare talent. It would be a waste if he left. Not interested, Hood shook his head. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone about this. Unless he was crazy, he wouldn't go freezing in the mountains with these guys. He'd rather spend his time with Wanda, having some quality time together. Stephen saw Hood about to leave and started forward, but Wong stopped him. Mr. Hood, if you ever want to learn magic, you're welcome any time. Hood paused, nodded seriously, and left. After Hood left, Stephen was speechless. Stephen, looks like you aren't charming enough. Wong suppressed a laugh and teased. What does charm have to do with it? He just doesn't want to learn magic. Stephen stubbornly refused to admit defeat. He was a top genius. How could anyone turn down his offer? He learned it by accident with just one look. Wong looked out the window, feeling the chill in the air, and sighed. We may have stumbled upon a genius. We need to tell the Sorcerer Supreme right away. No one can hide anything from Master Gui. Stephen smiled and shook his head. She probably already knows. Chapter 12. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the Cayenne with its starry sky roof, Hood unfurled a Yang Ping scroll, covered in bizarre ancient text. Is this the scroll of Sithoun? He frowned, studying the script. The scroll of Sithoun, created by the ancient god Sithoun, was essentially the predecessor to the Dark Book. It detailed the most terrifying black magic imaginable. Its influence was immense, corrupting anyone who read it and allowing Sithoun to possess their soul. It was the origin of both the Book of the Dead and the Book of Curses. If the Book of Vishanti, used by the Sorcerer Supreme, was like the Nine Yang Divine Art, then the Scroll of Sithoun was its polar opposite. The Nine Yin Manual. Practitioners of Sithoun's magic inevitably became corrupted, their minds twisted into darkness, but Hood wasn't concerned about that. He didn't need to absorb Sithoun's power to get what he wanted from the scroll, therefore, Sithoun couldn't influence him. If I remember correctly, there's something in here that can help Wanda stabilize her abilities. Hood glanced at the scroll of Sithoun, lost in thought. In the movies, Wanda used the scroll of Sithoun to practice chaos magic. Even a little practice would make her much more resistant to attacks. Looks like finding a way to help Wanda with the scroll of Sithoun is the way to go. Hood returned the scroll to the system, deciding on his course of action. Controlling her abilities was crucial for Wanda right now. During the incident in Germany, her lack of control was a major factor in their failure. With the Scarlet Witch's true power, she should have been able to handle that explosion no problem. Why not, go get Wanda now? The thought of Wanda made the corners of his mouth twitch upward. Her reaction to seeing him would be priceless. He had to admit, he could be a real piece of work sometimes. Without hesitation, he pulled out his phone and dialed Wanda's number. At the Avengers base, Wanda was curled up in her bed, replaying the events of the previous night in her mind. Ugh, that she tried to forget, but the lingering ache served as a constant reminder. That damn Hood. He didn't even introduce himself. If the maid hadn't mentioned his name, Wanda wouldn't have known who he was, and for some reason, an odd feeling kept tugging at her. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Her phone buzzed insistently on the bed. Hello. Who is this? Wanda answered with a weary voice. My lovely little witch, have you forgotten me so soon? Hood's voice on the other end made her nearly jump out of her skin. She hadn't expected him to call so soon. Why are you calling me? Wanda stammered. What do you think? Hood's voice dripped with playful mockery. Wanda paused, her face flushing. Are you calling me just to be a jerk? I was just thinking about my witch. Hood's deep voice resonated through the phone. Who is your witch? Don't talk nonsense. Hood's words made her heart pound. She couldn't deny that it held a significant place in her heart. No woman could easily forget an experience like that. Oh, Hood lowered his seat, a smirk playing on his lips. So, you're saying you're not taking responsibility? Then I'll tell Tony Stark. He could practically see Wanda's angry kitten face as he listened to her irritated voice. What are you going to do? Wanda, wary, asked, hearing the sneer in his tone. I just want to discuss our previous encounter. Hood drawled the words out. You're a pig. Wanda could practically picture Hood's smug grin. She was so angry she was squeezing her cup tight. Where are you? Hood pressed. Fine. Wanda gritted her teeth. Come to the back door of the base. I'll be waiting. The Avengers base, funded by Stark Industries, consisted of 2 white buildings connected by an aerial walkway with 2 large helipads. Seen from above, it resembled a joined V. Mi marchos en saber symbesesti testirt. Te dimicaras, 3 NYT, olo regalast. Tito do alamer pididardimero bast. Hood, driving the Cayenne to the base, swayed slightly to the rhythm of the music. Suddenly, he spotted a group of people with signs blocking the road ahead. Superheroes, get out of New York. We don't need these hypocritical, violent lunatics. Wanda, get out of this city. She's a menace. They use the name of justice to hurt people at will. The protesters shouted their grievances, signs raised toward the Avengers base. Wow. Hood was speechless. He had to admit, these people were dedicated. Even he, let alone Wanda, would get a headache dealing with this every day. These poor people were manipulated by the media. They were victims, no matter which side they were on. The real beneficiaries were the powerful elite. That was the truth of the world. Creating conflict was the way to protect their own interests. Oh, poor Wanda. Hood turned down the music. His cheerful mood dimmed. She was just a person, forced to endure so much hatred, power. She might have it, but deep down, she was as fragile as anyone else. Buzz, his phone vibrated. Wanda, I'm at the back door. Seeing the message, Hood turned down a side road, but just a few yards later, a figure darted out of the woods. Screech. At the last second, Hood slammed on the brakes. What the heck? He frowned. Looking ahead, was the Cayenne's allure that potent? Suddenly, several more people spilled out of the woods, men and women, their faces smeared with white paint. Without a word, they began pounding on the car windows and Hood, leering through the glass. What? Are they trying to rescue me? Hood was completely baffled. What were these lunatics doing? Even during a zombie apocalypse, it wouldn't be this bizarre. Get out of here, you bastard. You're in league with the Avengers. I knew it. You're planning to sneak into the base through the back. Hand over that damn witch Wanda now. Or you're dead. You murderous demons won't escape justice. Hood's jaw tightened as he watched the crazed mob. Veins throbbed in his forehead. You're really asking for it. He was convinced these people were just paid protesters. The powerful were deliberately stoking the flames, using this as leverage to force the Avengers to back down. He unbuckled his seatbelt, rolling up his sleeves, then his phone buzzed again. Wanda, ignore them. Just leave. Hood knew she was watching him. He quickly tapped out a message. Hood, they need to learn a lesson, that the Avengers couldn't interfere in the name of justice, but he could. He wasn't an Avenger, was he? Justice? Moral blackmail? Without morals, no one could blackmail him. Hood opened the car door and stepped out. His imposing figure brought a strong wave of intimidation. I'm out. Come and get some. Hood glared at the protesters, his expression icy. They took a few steps back, unnerved. They hadn't thought he would actually get out. He's bluffing. He's alone. What are we afraid of? Teach this jerk a lesson. He's not a superhero. Let's get him. All together now. Several protesters gritted their teeth, raising their signs to strike. Whoosh. As the wooden signs swung through the air, a dark light flickered in their eyes. They suddenly stopped mid-swing, turning the signs on their own companions. Hey! Are you blind? Ah! Don't hit me. Are you high or something? Who let this guy in? The protesters descended into a chaotic brawl, biting and wrestling each other like wild animals. Tue! Hood's pupils flashed a fiery red, strange and mesmerizing. He shook his head in disgust, climbed back into the car, and drove off. Dividing line. P.S. Brothers, if you think it's good, please give the author some free flowers. I will be very grateful. If one person gives me flowers, no matter how many flowers I give, I will add another chapter. Chapter 13. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Cayenne eased into the driveway and stopped at the base's back door. Hood scanned the area and spotted a woman in a baseball cap and hoodie cautiously emerging from behind a tree. Wanda wasn't wearing her signature red windbreaker today. Her eyes, visible through her hair, were filled with sadness and pain. Hood could tell from her expression that she wasn't afraid of him, but of the protesters, like earlier. That mob of crazies wanted to tear Wanda apart, after confirming the protesters in. The distance were still at each other's throats. Wanda hurried to the passenger seat. Phew. Once inside, Wanda's nervous expression eased, and she let out a long sigh of relief. She'd rather face Hood than those protesters. The sight of their twisted faces stirred up a mix of emotions in her. It's okay, they didn't see you. Hood looked at Wanda, offering a comforting word. Even though you're not exactly a saint, I still want to thank you. She appreciated that Hood had chosen to stand by her side, even if his words stung sometimes. He always looked out for her. He'd chosen her without hesitation from the start and was even ready to jump out of the car to defend her. That warmed her heart a little. Besides the Avengers, Hood was the only one who seemed to care. Even when she was drunk, he'd wanted to help her first. Even facing public criticism, he hadn't wavered. Oh, a sly grin touched Hood's lips. Am I not a saint? He asked. Stop playing dumb. You came to me for one thing. Wanda pursed her lips, giving Hood a displeased look. That's all this guy ever thought about. What else could Hood possibly want from her? Little witch, you've got a dirty mind. Who do you think I am? Ever heard of what you see in others is a reflection of yourself? Hood reached out and playfully ruffled Wanda's hair. I need to talk to you about something serious. What is it? Wanda tilted her head, looking puzzled. I asked you to come here so I could teach you how to master chaos magic. Hood got straight to the point. Chaos magic. Wanda's eyes widened in confusion. It was the first time she'd heard that term. It's your ability. Hood realized Wanda didn't even know what to call the energy within her. Chaos magic. My ability? Wanda asked in surprise. You can teach me how to control my powers. She'd been trying to control them, but hadn't had any luck. Not sure yet. Hood grinned mischievously, glancing at Wanda's modest attire. But you seemed to want to do something else earlier. Wanda's cheeks flushed. Was Hood implying she had impure thoughts? She studied his expression. The truth was, she didn't dislike him as much as she let on. Things were just moving a little fast. Okay. Hood pulled Wanda closer, ruffling her hair again. I'll stop teasing. Let's head back to my place first. He started the car and turned toward the manor. He wanted to tell Tony he could help Wanda stabilize her abilities, but it wasn't the right time. After all, he wasn't sure if he could actually pull it off, so he'd approach it as an experiment. Inside the manor, in a subtly luxurious room, Wanda sat on the white bed, head down, looking uneasy. She couldn't stop replaying the events in the car last night. As her memory sharpened, it became harder to forget, and she could recall every detail. Being in Hood's room only made her heart pound faster. The room was so silent, she could hear her own heartbeat. Hood grabbed a stool and sat across from her. With every movement, Wanda caught a whiff of Hood's cologne. Wanda, before we start, I need to ask you something. Hood sat up straight, looking seriously into Wanda's blue eyes. Okay. Wanda felt a bit flustered, unaccustomed to seeing Hood so serious. What do you think your ability is? Hood paused. Is it a mutant ability? Or an energy source? Has it changed you in some way? Wanda pondered. I think it's an energy source. Back in the lab, Hydra injected some kind of energy into me. I can summon the energy inside me at will. It keeps regenerating and even changes my body, little by little. But it's hard to control and messes with my emotions. If she could control the power within her, she wouldn't feel so helpless. Chaos magic does affect the mind, but it's not just an energy source, it's an ancient form of magic. Hood explained chaos magic in simple terms. Wanda couldn't fully control it. It was a force that resisted complete control. to master it, she had to constantly improve her control during practice, minimizing the risk of losing it. Otherwise, Wanda would eventually reach a breaking point. Her emotions could spiral out of control and be consumed by chaos magic, turning her to the dark side. He remembered this happening to the Scarlet Witch later on. She was corrupted by chaos magic. Eventually, she turned evil and became a villain. "You're saying there's magic in my body?" Wanda frowned, disbelieving. To her, it was just energy and shouldn't have anything to do with magic. Magic sounded like something out of a fairy tale. Hood remained silent, but nodded firmly. He reached out and took Wanda's hands. The sudden gesture made Wanda's heart race. She tensed up. What are you doing?" Her face flushed, her heart pounding, and she trembled slightly. The night before hadn't exactly been resolved. "Relax, calm down, and work with me." Hood looked at Wanda gently. His kind expression made her trust him. Hood took a deep breath, and fire ignited in his eyes. *Buzz, star. Instantly, fiery red energy began to emanate from his palm. This energy awakened the chaos magic within Wanda. Uncontrolled, it burst forth from her hand. Chaos magic and the Phoenix Force intertwined and merged, like climbing ivy. They entwined and ascended, a mysterious feeling washing over Wanda. Wanda stared wide-eyed at Hood in disbelief. As the energy within her mixed with his fire, she felt an overwhelming sense of connection. She didn't know why, but she felt she could trust Hood completely. Even her guarded expression softened. She gazed at Hood's handsome face. It was clearly Asian, but with deep-set eyes and a high-nose bridge. His features were so chiseled, and her heart fluttered in her chest. Her vision blurred as she stared at him. She felt like she was melting. Her thoughts scattered. "Wanda, something's off with your eyes." Hood's voice snapped her back to reality. "No." Wanda's voice rose sharply, but her panicked expression made her words unconvincing. "Okay, knock it off. Look here." Hood tapped the tip of Wanda's nose, drawing her attention to his clenched hands. The familiarity between the Phoenix Force and chaos magic, combined with Hood's control over magic, allowed him to mobilize the chaos magic in Wanda's body simply by holding her hands. As the two magical energies blended, they spread outward like a scarlet tide. The scarlet light, like the waves of the aurora borealis, enveloped the entire room. *Buzz, star. The room began to change dramatically before their eyes, as if time was reversing. The furniture and decorations became old-fashioned. The changes accelerated as the light intensified. It felt like stepping back hundreds of years. "This isn't a dream. It's real." Wanda tried to deny it, her voice trembling slightly, but she could clearly feel that everything happening around her was real. It was beyond anything she could have imagined, and she couldn't find a single flaw. Each object changed seamlessly, as if it was always meant to be that way. What shocked her most was that it was all being created by the chaos magic within her. Wanda took a long time to regain her composure, asking breathlessly, "Hood, how did you do that?" A smile played on Hood's lips. "This is chaos magic." Chapter 14. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wanda's eyes widened as she took in the room, its interior morphing constantly. Is this chaos magic at work? That she couldn't believe chaos magic could do this, let alone that this power was inside her. This is all reality warped by chaos magic. I just used the basic power of chaos magic based on what I understand of it. Hod nodded slowly, looking affirmative. He wasn't precisely controlling everything. He was mainly guiding Wanda to familiarize herself with the power. He let go of her hand. *Buzz, star. As the scarlet light faded, everything in the room began reverting at lightning speed. "How do you know so much about it?" Wanda asked, now even more curious about this mysterious guy. He seemed to understand her power better than she did. "We've already had close encounters. How could I not understand?" Hodder smirked and reached out, playfully pinching Wanda's cheek. He figured she was too skinny to have much meat there. But when he pinched her, it was much softer than he'd imagined. He rubbed it a couple of times. It felt really good, white, soft, and tender. "Stop it. Quit touching me." Wanda's face flushed crimson, practically steaming. She knew Hod was teasing her, but she couldn't help remembering what had happened last night. After their energy melded, she found she wasn't as resistant to Hod's touch. On the contrary, being near Hod made her feel at ease. And after what just happened, they seemed to have a lot in common. Okay, hurry up and let me control. Chaos magic. Even though she knew the energy inside her was magic, it was still a bit much to take in. A studious little witch is destined for greatness. Hodder paused, looking at Wanda with a gentle expression. You have to feel its existence, pay attention to its sensations. It's not just raw energy, it's ancient magic. To control this energy, you not only need to understand how it works, but also to calm down and understand it. It's like a car. If you push it from the outside, it's a struggle. But if you get in and hit the gas, you go much faster. Re-understand it? Wanda suddenly perked up. She'd been treating it like ordinary energy or a psychic ability. It had never occurred to her to try and feel the chaos magic inside her. If Horde hadn't told her, she probably wouldn't have made any progress. But now she knew chaos magic could even affect reality. The next time they connected, they would develop further in that area. Well, my lovely little witch is much sharper than I thought. Hodder nodded, satisfied. Let's get started. If you mess up, there'll be a punishment. Huh? Punishment? Wanda blinked, then realized what he meant. Her ears turned pink. Even without details, she guessed that the punishment would be humiliating. Turn it into something else. Hodder casually set a cup on the table. Let's go. Okay. Wanda took a deep breath, her eyes becoming serious. She held out her hands, and a scarlet light bloomed, *bang, starred at a flash of scarlet, and the cup shattered. Broken. Wanda pouted, looking disappointed. She didn't expect to fail right out of the gate. It's okay. Hod pinched Wanda's cheek and grabbed another cup. Feel it carefully, encouraged. Wanda's eyes flashed. She tried again, focusing the chaos magic on the cup. But the next second, it shattered again, Wanda visibly deflated. Don't worry. Hod sat beside Wanda and said softly, chaos magic isn't just about building or destroying. It can create anything, but it can also destroy anything, turn everything into nothingness. Creation and destruction. Wanda frowned, thinking hard. They sounded simple, but they were complete opposites. Horde took Wanda's hand, energy surging from his palm, and their energies merged. Right now, you're leaning toward destruction. There's no construction. Chaos magic is like yin and yang in harmony. You need to balance the two, so they can freely transform and merge. As he spoke, the broken cup started pulling itself back together at lightning speed, reforming as before. Wanda's jaw dropped. She knew chaos magic could do it, but she didn't expect it to be that easy. You mean a balance point? Wanda bent down and picked up the cup, finding it perfect, without a crack. Want to try? Hod took the cup and set it on a stool. Yes. Wanda nodded, closing her eyes a moment before opening them. She extended her hands and carefully recalled how Horde had used chaos magic. The mug glowed a bright scarlet, buzz buzz buzz, star. This time, the mug didn't shatter. Instead, it twisted and shifted, morphing the surroundings. Then half of it changed, becoming a square box. Success! Wanda cried, excitedly hugging Hood. She really hadn't thought she'd do it. This meant she could better control her energy. Caught up in her excitement, Wanda didn't notice Hood's subtle change in expression. Hod felt what happiness truly was. Until Wanda noticed something was off and looked down. Her movements froze. Witch, I helped you a lot. How do you want to thank me? Horde draped an arm around her shoulder, a wicked grin on his face as they locked eyes. The wind howled, it rained that night, wet streaks sliding down the windowpane. And the pear blossoms in the rain on the tree in the house, P.S. If you think it's good, give the author some free flowers. I will be very grateful. If one person gives me flowers, no matter how many flowers I give, I will add another chapter. Chapter 15. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ding! Wanda's mastered chaos magic thanks to your lessons, ******* reward, the power of the 12 talismans, ******* ding. You and Wanda had some quality time together, ****** reward, Phoenix Force fragment, no will, Horde woke up to the system's notifications, the sheets were tangled, and Wanda lay beside him, her skin flushed, hearing about the rewards. Horde grinned. Another Phoenix fragment? He hadn't expected to get a second one so quickly. Instantly, a surge of power flooded his body, it coursed through him, strengthening every muscle. His already formidable physique became even more enhanced, energy pulsed from every cell, banishing the last traces of fatigue. He inhaled sharply, savoring the sensation. He could feel the raw power simmering within him, like a dormant volcano. The new fragment amplified everything. The combination wasn't just additive, it was exponential. His control over the Phoenix Force sharpened, and the energy within him was even greater. This is real power, that he thought to himself. His previous rewards paled in comparison. With just a fragment, he was probably sub-father level, but now he was definitely on par with Odin. If he could gather all the Phoenix Force fragments, he'd be the strongest being on the planet, bar none. The complete Phoenix Force could manipulate cause and effect, rewrite fate itself. It could disassemble, transform, and recreate anything, from the smallest speck of dust to the vastness of the universe. System, that he called out mentally. The system interface appeared instantly. The current progress of Phoenix Force collection was displayed. Phoenix Force fragments, February 12th. 10 more to go. That he frowned. He hadn't really kept track of his progress. He thought he'd have at least a third of them by now. Guess the Phoenix Force is even more powerful than I thought, but even Thanos at his best was lucky to get a draw. Wait, the power of the 12 talismans. His attention snapped to the first reward. He was intimately familiar with each of the 12 zodiac talismans. Each one granted incredible abilities. The dog talisman alone, with its eternal youth and immortality, was something countless people would kill for. Having one of the 12 talismans was like being a watered-down Superman. And he got all 12. Looks like fortune's finally smiling on me. The rewards have been getting better and better. That a wave of joy washed over him. Ugh. Wanda stirred beside him, stretching luxuriously. She opened her eyes and saw him watching her, a mischievous grin on his face. Wanda, that he took her hand. What is it, that she asked, enjoying the warmth of his touch. You're my lucky charm, that he rolled over, pinning her gently. It's morning. Before she could finish, the room was filled with passion. Later, at the breakfast table, Wanda frowned. You really can't stop, can you? She complained. She'd lost count of how many times they'd been together. She thought her own physical condition made her different, but she couldn't stand the intense desire they shared. What? Not enough for you, that he twirled the last sausage on his plate with a fork. Get bent. Give it to me if you don't want it, that she eyed the sausage longingly. Here you go. Looks like the little witch really likes sausages, that he slid the plate over, teasing her. Shut up. One more word, and I'm not talking to you again, that she knew exactly what he was implying and flushed crimson. Okay, I won't tease you anymore. He watched her devour the sausage and wipe her mouth. How about we go out for a walk? No. She shook her head instantly. There was so much hatred directed at her out there. If she stepped outside, they'd probably hunt her down like a dog. She wasn't worried about her safety, but she was worried about the chaos that would follow. Don't worry, I'm here for you. He saw her hesitation, took her hand, and squeezed gently. The warmth and reassurance calmed her fear. She nodded slowly. Okay. The maple trees were tinged with yellow on their way to the city. A cool breeze filtered through the car window. She felt her lips curl into a smile. She couldn't remember the last time she'd felt this relaxed. Maybe this was what a sense of security felt like. When he was beside her, she felt like she didn't have to worry about anything. As the car entered the city, the towering skyscrapers rose like a concrete forest. The increasing number of pedestrians made her uneasy. She glanced at him and took a deep breath. trying to quell her anxiety, he reached over and took her hand. His warmth chased away the fear. At a traffic light, he stopped the car. A large screen on the building next to them was broadcasting a commercial. Ghost Spider, in her white hooded suit, was displayed on the screen. The tight suit accentuated her figure. From the picture, it was clear that Queens, New York had embraced Gwen as their hometown superhero. There was no Spider-Man in this world, only Ghost Spider. Damn, that's a nice figure, that he couldn't help but comment. The suit somehow made it even hotter. Huh. Wanda heard that and glowered at him. The next second, she pinched his waist hard. Chapter 16. You are listening at novelfull.audio. No way, the little witch is jealous, Hodder chuckled, rubbing his side like he was hurt. Gotta play the game, right? Act tough when they're rough, and wince a little when they're being gentle. He knew the drill. You really are. Boom. Wanda, fuming, was about to give him another pinch when a massive bang erupted up ahead. They both looked up to see a cloud of dust billowing down the street. People piled out of their cars to see what was happening. Monster. Run. What the hell is that thing? Get out of my way. Screams and cries echoed from the front. The street descended into chaos. People were running back, tripping over each other. Cars were jammed, trying to reverse, causing a chain reaction of crashes. Horns blared, alarms wailed, and people screamed. What's going on? Wanda immediately unbuckled her seatbelt, hand on the door, and frowned, watching the scene unfold. This was downtown. Something like this shouldn't happen. This looked like a serious incident. If that was the case, she had to help or people were going to get hurt. Hodder got out of the car. Something's coming. A shape was moving toward them through the dust cloud. The dust swirled around it as it moved. Then, it burst out of the cloud. It was humanoid, covered in green scales, with spikes running from its head to its tail. It wore a tattered white rag, barely recognizable as a shirt. Roar. It shoved cars aside like toys. The roar sent another wave of panic through the crowd. It's Dr. Connors. Hodder recognized the lizard. Who? Wanda got out of the car, her face grim. What kind of monster is that? Chaos magic crackled around her wrists, the crimson energy ready to be unleashed. Even with the curse, her sense of justice wouldn't let her stand by. Roar. The lizard ripped a car door off its hinges and threw it at a nearby building. The door embedded itself in the brick wall, sending debris flying. Damn it. I'm stopping this thing. Wanda focused, ready to fly into the air, but Hodder grabbed her wrist. Hold on, someone's on their way. A fast, white figure zipped across the rooftops. Hey, Scaleface, those aren't your toys to play with. A voice called out as the figure dropped from the sky, kicking the lizard to the ground. She landed gracefully with a backflip. It's Ghost Spider. Wanda recognized her. The Avengers had a file on her. Roar. The lizard scrambled up, ripped an electric pole from the ground, and swung it at Ghost Spider. The pole whistled through the air. Ghost Spider flipped backward, dodging the attack. Slowpoke. You're a terrible lizard. Maybe a visit to the zoo will give you some inspo. Hey, over here. Where are you looking? Watch out. Ghost Spider taunted while dodging the lizard's attacks. The constant chatter infuriated the creature. It threw the electric pole at Ghost Spider, then ripped the door off a Hummer. Roar. The lizard charged at Ghost Spider, using the car door as a shield. She never shuts up. Wanda complained. She'd never seen someone run their mouth so much in a fight, and she didn't repeat herself. Hodder grinned. Seems like all the spider people are motor mouths. It was classic Spider-Man behavior. Bang, 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 star. The lizard, getting the runaround, couldn't land a hit on Ghost Spider. She was like a gnat buzzing in his ear, driving him crazy. Then, the lizard spotted two people standing in the street, Wanda and Hodder. Red glint flashed in his eyes. Looks like we're his target. Hodder shrugged. Just watching the show, and now we're in it. Roar. Die. The lizard's arms bulged as he raised the car door and charged. Crap. Move. Ghost Spider's voice was sharp. She had no idea how she missed them standing there. She stopped dodging and jumped in front of Hodder. the lizard roared with excitement. He brought the car door down on Ghost Spider. Humph! Bracing herself, Gwen raised her arms to block. The force drove her heels into the asphalt. The lizard grinned, exposing his teeth. It was all going according to plan. Before Gwen could react, his tail lashed out. The blow sent her sprawling. Then, he hurled the car door at her. Gwen stared at the hurtling door, face pale. Knowing she couldn't dodge, she squeezed her eyes shut. Bang, star, dust exploded as a thunderous roar shook the street, but Gwen was okay. She squinted open her eyes. A figure stood in front of her. The person was wearing a black t-shirt, one hand in his pocket, and had casually caught the car door. Get back. Chapter 17. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the street, wrecked vehicles blazed, the crackling of burning debris cutting through the air, acrid smoke and dust swirled, the only disturbance in the otherwise eerily silent, deserted street. The bulky figure casually glanced, then forced the car door open. Gwen Stacy, sprawled on the ground, stared, wide-eyed. Who was this guy? She'd never seen him before. Definitely not a superhero. But he'd stopped the lizard's attack like it was nothing. How is this possible? The lizard Connor's pupils constricted to pinpricks. The power he'd struggled so hard to gain felt useless against this stranger. He'd gone all out to take down the ghost spider, but this guy blocked him with one hand in his pocket, looking totally relaxed. Hey, Hood smirked, you're way too weak. Shouldn't you be hanging out in the sewers? What are you doing out here? As he spoke, a blue glow appeared on his wrist, revealing the image of a bull's head, the bull talisman. It granted immense strength and stamina. The bull magic could make the holder incredibly powerful, enhancing physical strength and brute force. Striking force, impact force, and physical attack power were all boosted significantly. Maybe not enough against cosmic-level threats, but against anything on Earth, it was more than enough. You! Damn you! The lizard roared, humiliated. He swung his massive tail at Gwen, who was still on the ground. Seeing the blow, Gwen braced herself, hands protecting her head. In a flash, Hood kicked the lizard, the force creating a massive gust of wind. Boom! The lizard flew like a ragdoll, slamming into the wall of a nearby building. The wall crumbled, leaving a gaping hole. That power? Is he even human? Gwen was stunned. She just faced the lizard and felt his terrifying strength. He was strong enough to tear apart a car, but this kid took him down like it was nothing. She even saw a hint of satisfaction on his face. Like he'd just swatted a bug. Gwen wondered if she was dreaming. Their power levels weren't even close. How long you gonna lie there? Hood glanced down at Gwen, his expression calm. Gwen blinked. Oh. Sorry. She realized she was still on the ground. As she started to get up, she was suddenly overcome with a rush of hormones. The mysterious guy had knelt and scooped her into his arms in a princess carry. Her brain short-circuited. She felt her face burning under the mask. She'd never expected him to do that. It was the first time anyone had held her like this. I'm okay. I can walk. After a moment, Gwen stammered, squirming in his arms, maybe on purpose, maybe not, but her movements seemed intimate. Through the thin ghost spider suit, she could feel the heat of his palm. Her heart pounded, her eyes wide behind her mask. Yeah. Hood nodded, set her down gently. You okay? Wanda, who stood nearby, glared at Hood before turning to Gwen. Even though Hood seemed serious, she didn't trust his intentions. I'm fine. Gwen turned to the woman approaching, her eyes widened. You're the Scarlet Witch. I just met an Avenger. I'm your biggest fan. I admire you so much. Don't listen to the garbage people say about you. I know it's not true. And, you're really beautiful. Seeing Wanda, Gwen forgot everything that had just happened. She rushed to her idol, babbling excitedly. Thank you. Wanda smiled at the energetic girl. Oh, are you a superhero too? Gwen frowned, looking at Hood, trying to remember if she'd seen him before. But how come I've never seen you around? She followed the Avengers news closely. If he'd been on TV, she'd remember him, but this kid was a complete unknown. I'm not a superhero. Hood shook his head, glancing at Gwen's figure, 85, 56, 90, not bad, for her age. She had a great physique, while Gwen wasn't as tall or curvy as Wanda. Gwen had a different vibe. If Wanda exuded melancholy and charm, Gwen radiated youthful energy. Like an 18-year-old college student, as Hood was admiring her beauty, there was a noise behind them. The lizard slowly emerged from the hole, panting, glaring at the group. Seeing them chatting, he was furious, his body trembling. They clearly didn't take him seriously. Almost forgot you were still here. Hood looked at the lizard with annoyance. He was enjoying his memories of her beauty, and this lizard kept popping up. It ruined his mood. Die, thought the lizard. Connor raged. Furious at Hood's contempt, he charged. Bang, bang, bang. Each step shook the ground cracked beneath his feet. Hood, watch out, Wanda warned. The lizard looked like he was ready to die trying. He's really strong, be careful. Gwen prepared to assist. Boom. Before she could finish, a scorching beam shot from Hood's eyes. The terrifying light pierced through the lizard's chest. Green blood splattered. The lizard looked down, trembling. A gaping hole had been burned through his abdomen. Through the hole, you could see the scene beyond. Chapter 18. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ho ho ho. Lizardman Connor stared at the gaping hole, his eyes glazed over. This. How can this be? He stumbled backward, collapsing heavily on the ground. Green blood trickled along the cracked ground and seeped in. You can actually do that? Wanda stared at Hood in disbelief. This only deepened the mystery surrounding him, and it revealed a certain undeniable charm. She thought Hood was just physically strong and magically gifted, but she realized that was only scratching the surface. She didn't know him at all. He was far more complex than she imagined. Mountaineer, entrepreneur, knew Tony Stark, built everything from the ground up, understood magic, knew chaos magic, and even possessed some kind of ancient energy. She thought that was the extent of it, but the laser just now blew her mind, and she could feel the sheer power radiating from that beam. Are you sure you're not a superhero? Gwen was stunned. She looked at the composed Hood with awe. That move was amazing. How did you do that? She gestured wildly, still buzzing from what she'd just witnessed. Talent. Hood casually pulled his hand from his pocket and ruffled Gwen's hair. You want to learn? I could teach you. Ahem, Hood, maybe we should focus on the situation at hand. Wanda interrupted, a strange feeling bubbling up inside her. She couldn't explain why, but seeing them so close made her uncomfortable, especially the hair-ruffling thing. She'd started to think of that as her thing, but Hood was doing it to someone else now, and it stirred up all kinds of confusing emotions, though, rationally, she knew they weren't doing anything wrong. Boom. A massive explosion rocked the building nearby, the force of it making the ground tremble. Oh no! Gwen's face paled. I forgot about the gas tanks. What's happening? Wanda frowned, looking at the distant chaos. The lizard man's trying to release vats of mutation chemicals all over New York, turning everyone into lizard people. Gwen took a running leap and swung off toward the scene. She knew that if those tanks ruptured, the entire city was at risk. That was Connor's plan, to turn everyone into reptiles. Let's go. Hood, thinking fast, grabbed Wanda and flew toward the chaos. The ground floor of the skyscraper was engulfed in flames. With explosions still happening, the fire raged, spreading rapidly, sending thick plumes of smoke billowing upward, and the intense heat warped the air. The smoke poured out of the building, turning the surrounding walls black. Even the clear blue sky was being obscured by the smoke and strange green fumes rising from the flames. Help! Someone help us! Call the fire department. My kids are still in there. Someone save my children. Let me go. My wife's inside. Where's a fire hydrant? Someone help! Panic spread through the crowd. People had sought shelter in the building from the lizard men, but now they were trapped. Many remained inside due to the crush, their families wailing outside. Some tried to run back in, but were forced back by the heat and smoke. We have to put out the fire, now. Otherwise, that green mist will spread the infection throughout New York. Gwen stood on a nearby building, frantically scanning the area for a water source. if they didn't act fast, even if people survived the fire, they'd be infected by the green mist and transformed into reptile monsters. WandaHod noticed Wanda was frozen, her expression a mix of fear and uncertainty. Hood, the fire's too big. I don't know if I can. Wanda's voice trembled, the scene triggering something in her mind. She wasn't sure she could handle it. What if she failed? During the Sokovia mission, her mistake caused the building to explode. That explosion also led to a fire, and she couldn't stop it. You can do this. Hood gently took her shoulders and spoke encouragingly. Chaos magic can destroy everything, but it can also create everything. Yes. I can do it. Wanda felt strength and trust flow through her, her lost confidence returning. She took a deep breath and walked toward the fire. Her determined back was a stark contrast to the panicked crowd. What's she doing? Gwen wondered. If she recalled correctly, Wanda didn't have any firefighting abilities. Hood hoped this event would help Wanda overcome her fears. Unless she faced her demons head-on, fear would always control her, and this was the perfect opportunity. Who is that woman? Why is she walking toward the fire? Wait, that's Scarlet Witch. What's she doing here? Is she going to hurt the people inside? Oh God, a superhero finally showed up to save my kid. But what's the point of her showing up? She's a killer. Shut up, people make mistakes. We have to put our faith in her. Yeah, Scarlet Witch saved New York once. The whispers around her made Wanda hesitate. What if I screw up again? Don't be scared. Everyone gets haters. Look at Tony, he's still living his best life despite the rumors, right? Hood offered, trying to lighten the mood. He understood Wanda's insecurities. She was sensitive and had low self-esteem. Her parents died when she was young, and she relied on her brother to survive in a war zone. She finally escaped to the United States and ended her years of revenge, only to lose her brother. That's a lot to bear. And that's why chaos magic amplified her insecurities. Hood, you're right. Wanda's eyes hardened with determination. She looked at Hood and whispered, I still have you. Boom, another explosion erupted from the burning building, sending flames even higher. People trapped inside screamed in despair. Wanda resolutely took off her hood and threw her baseball cap to the ground. She mustered the courage to show her true face. All eyes turned to Scarlet Witch. Boom, she raised her arms, her clothes billowing in the wind. Scarlet light surrounded her, swirling like streams of fire. Wanda floated upward. Chapter 19. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The scarlet light swirled around Wanda like a fairy's aura. The pulsating light made her red hooded coat glow an even brighter crimson. Under the intense illumination, her light yellow hair seemed to burn with red highlights. Her delicate features were breathtaking. Wow, what a sight! Gwen's eyes widened in admiration. Scarlet Witch looked like Freya from mythology. Scarlet Witch is seriously captivating. Hodder, gazing at Wanda hovering in the air, let out a sigh. Wanda was undeniably more alluring at this moment. He finally understood why so many people believed witches became more attractive after turning to the dark side. Wanda opened her arms, and a wave of scarlet light surged toward the fire. The howling flames were gradually subdued by the chaos magic. Even the surrounding black smoke was compressed into a tight ball, as the scarlet light intensified. Wanda's expression grew serious. This large-scale manipulation of chaos magic demanded extreme precision. Phew! Fine beads of sweat dotted her forehead as Wanda continued her movements. Back in Germany, she had tried to contain an explosion, but it had led to disastrous results. She could vividly recall the emotions of everyone around her, the pain, despair, and fear. Those memories disrupted her control over the chaos magic, and even the suppressed flames threatened to erupt once again. Hod frowned as he watched the strain on Wanda's face. He knew that wielding the Scarlet Witch's power wasn't the issue here. The real challenge was Wanda overcoming her inner demons. This was a battle she had to fight alone. He levitated closer to Wanda. Let go of the past. They need you now. Remember what I told you. You've got this. Trust me, you won't fail. Hod's voice resonated in Wanda's ears. Wanda didn't turn around, but she knew Hod was standing beside her. She could even catch a whiff of his familiar cologne amidst the heat of the flames. Wanda took a deep breath, her eyes hardening with resolve. Yes. That was right. She was the only one who could save them, and she had the power to do it, whether she was ready or not. This was her only option. It was too late to back down, so she had to give it her all. Her thoughts drifted back to the previous night, replaying Hod's words. Chaos magic isn't just destructive, it can create and change everything. So I can definitely do this. I can create something new. That with each recollection, the scarlet light grew brighter, her movements became more fluid as the light flowed through her hands. It felt natural, almost effortless. As the light intensified, Wanda's determination solidified. The fire, which had started to spread again, was now being contained at an even faster rate. Buzz. The strange scarlet light pulsed like a tidal wave. The entire block was bathed in a fluctuating red glow. Even the sky took on a crimson hue. From below, it looked like a red ocean had engulfed everything. What is this? Is this the Scarlet Witch's power? It's so beautiful. Can she really change the world like this? I never imagined superheroes could be this powerful. Is she going to destroy the whole neighborhood like before? That the last comment sent a wave of panic through the crowd. Thanks to the media, Scarlet Witch had become synonymous with destruction. Seeing this bizarre spectacle, fear began to spread like wildfire. This unknown power was terrifying. People's legs shook, but they couldn't move. Then, someone noticed the fire on the first floor was being extinguished right before their eyes. Frost started to form, spreading along the ground and up the walls, and the flames vanished as the temperature plummeted. Scarlet Witch is putting out the fire. This is unbelievable. She's actually saving us. Thank goodness. My daughter is going to be okay. Who was just saying she was going to kill us all? The crowd stared in disbelief. They couldn't believe that the Scarlet Witch, who they thought was going to bring about the end of the world, was actually saving them. At this rate, she would put out the fire completely. The smoke is turning into ice and dissolving. Gwen slowly descended to the ground and sighed. She was astonished by Wanda's power. This was a building that spanned thousands of square feet. And Wanda was single-handedly suppressing all the flames. Now, the fire was showing signs of dying out. Looks like she's finally overcome her inner demons. Hodder returned to the ground, took out a cigarette, and muttered in satisfaction. Once she broke through that mental barrier, Wanda would be able to emerge from the shadows, and this incident would undoubtedly strengthen her control over chaos magic. He looked at the determined little witch, lowered his head, lit a cigarette, and exhaled smoke with a satisfied grin. After a while, the burning fire was finally extinguished. Wanda landed. Finally breathing a sigh of relief, deafening cheers erupted all around her. Long live Scarlet Witch! She did it! Scarlet Witch saved us! Scarlet Witch is here to help us! I'll never doubt Scarlet Witch again. That the crowd erupted in celebration. Scarlet Witch had shattered the negative stereotypes that the media had created. They gathered around her, surrounding her. Scarlet Witch looked at the excited crowd and wiped away the tears from her eyes. It had been so long since she had seen people cheering for her, and they were thanking her. She knew that she was able to accomplish all of this because Hod had stood by her side. Chapter 20. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Avengers HQ office felt heavy and lifeless. Tony, looking glum, sat chewing on dried blueberries, his eyes drifting toward Steve on the couch. Silence hung in the air, broken only by the crunch of Tony's snack. Pressure from the German incident was mounting, and official channels were getting involved. Hood's plan was solid, but the timing was off. The Avengers' public image and Wanda's reputation needed a boost before they could move forward. You gonna sit there forever? Tony snapped, slapping the blueberries on the table, his gaze fixed on Steve, who was silently fiddling with his phone. What else is there to do? The only way out is to get Ross to backpedal. Steve replied, his face hard. Ross wanted control of the Avengers, and this media firestorm had his fingerprints all over it. There's no way the media could blow it up this big without Ross pulling strings. Talking to Wanda would be a better use of your time than just sitting here, Tony said, walking over to Steve, trying to keep his anger in check. Don't forget, you led that mission in Germany. Okay, I screwed up the op, but you weren't exactly perfect either. Steve shot back, teeth clenched. He admitted the accident wasn't ideal, but he never meant for it to get this bad. Me? I'm always cleaning up your messes. Tony retorted. You have any idea how many outlets I've been talking to? I've been busting my butt to find a solution. Tony balled his fists, his voice low and furious. Captain America was just clinging to his outdated ideals, sitting around doing nothing. He was furious. He had time to go talk to Wanda. Yeah. You didn't have this attitude back in Sokovia. Steve's breath came quick and heavy. Countless people died because of that. Because of you. You think I wanted that? Before Tony could finish, the office door swung open, and Black Widow, Natasha, stood there, looking surprised. Guess I walked in at a bad time, Natasha said with a shrug, trying to lighten the mood. What's up? Tony asked, grabbing the blueberries and popping a few in his mouth. I think you should see this. Natasha flicked on the TV, showing Wanda extinguishing a fire. A crowd was gathered around, cheering her on. Earlier today at 1:41 p.m., Avengers member Scarlet Witch stopped a fire from spreading downtown, the reporter announced. Tony watched, his expression softening. Wanda unlocked a new power, that if he remembered correctly, Wanda could suppress fire, but turning it into frost was new. That's the only thing that made sense. Can't believe we missed that. Steve exclaimed, surprised. They were all basically living at the Avengers facility. How did they not notice? Guess it just happened. She looks a little shaky, Natasha said, thoughtfully clicking the remote. But the important thing is, this is already shifting the media narrative on Wanda, that with that many witnesses, the media couldn't ignore it. This was their chance. If they played their cards right, they might be able to undo the damage from Germany. Don't worry, I'll get the media working overtime to change the story. Tony said, tapping his earpiece. Get Pepper on the line, that he was immediately connected, cutting right to the chase. Pepper, I need some PR, and pick up Wanda. He'd spent years in business, he knew this game. Strike while the iron's hot, and use this to turn things around. Wanda looks pretty happy, Natasha observed, watching Wanda smile on the screen. It had been a while since she'd seen Wanda smile. What got into her? Steve asked, settling back on the couch, his brow furrowed. She was moping around just a few days ago, now it's like she's a totally different person, and she's gotten way more powerful. Maybe she finally figured things out, Natasha replied, smiling, a little of Wanda's joy rubbing off on her. Things were starting to look up. Tony grinned and said, we'll find out when she gets back. Meanwhile, in Queens, New York, ding. You helped Wanda escape her demons and restored her reputation. Reward, Kabuto Zector, Kabuto. Hood leaned against a wall nearby, watching Wanda being interviewed. When the notification popped up, Kabuto Zector, use this Zector to transform into Kabuto, requires Zector authorization. Kabuto Zector. Wanda's a freaking treasure trove. Even the rewards are awesome. Hood couldn't help but grin, surprised at the reward. The Kabuto Zector was the transformation device for Kamen Rider Kabuto, the same narcissist who walks the path of heaven and controls everything. Who would say no to his device? As a teenager, Hod always dreamed of owning a knight's belt. Mr. Hodder, everything's wrapped up here, so I'll get going. Hope we can work together again sometime. Say goodbye to Wanda for me. Gwen said, noticing the growing crowd of reporters. She wasn't looking forward to answering their questions. Later. Wanda waved goodbye, watching the girl disappear between buildings, thinking, looks like I'll have to find a way to get to know her better. In the distance, a line of black luxury cars pulled up. Guess I should head back. Hodder spotted the Stark Group's cars and got ready to leave. He knew Tony would jump on this chance to salvage the Avengers' image and wreck Ross's plan. Before heading out, he sent a quick message via telepathy. Hod, catch you later, enjoy your moment in the sun. Wanda, thanks for today.